Alright, what's up guys? So, welcome back. It's been quite some time, probably like 3 or 4 months since the last video. And, I haven't really done much with this car. It's been winter time, so it's been too damn cold to come out here and mess with this thing. And just a whole bunch of shit that's been going on, so haven't really touched this thing. But springtime, it's like a super nice day out today. And, between yesterday and the day before that, I've been like mocking up engine brackets and like a transmission cross member and stuff like that to get this thing mounted in this car. And once this thing is mounted in this car, then I can like move forward with other things, trying to get the thing running and stuff like that. But for now, I'm going to show you guys like pretty much what I've came up with as far as like engine mounting is going to go. I pretty much got this thing in here pretty straight. I'll show you like how I did that, and pretty much just go from there. But you guys already seen this. This is pretty much like where the shifter is. This is like the shifter, and this is like a shifter extension that comes on a factory Challenger. You see it doesn't sit perfectly parallel because in the Challengers the shifter sits a little bit like offsetted to the driver. We don't want that. We want this thing sitting straight up and down, so we're gonna have to figure out something with that. But that shouldn't be all too hard. I thought they offered like top mount shifters for these things, like in a whole bunch of different variations, but realistically they don't. So we're probably gonna do something custom here, but I think it's in first gear right now, so I can't even move it. But that's ideally where we'd want it. We want this thing to sit a little bit further back like that, and then just coming straight up, so this way we can put this shit back on here like so, put a shifter in there and fucking bang gears and whatnot. But so that's looking good. Shifter and all that shit right there is looking good. Take you guys underneath this thing real quick. Actually, we need this. So you see, this is pretty much just how I got this motor like hanging out in here, chilling on a couple pieces of wood and cinder blocks just to keep it up in this car. When the time comes, this thing will be sitting up a little higher, but you guys see, I pretty much got this thing all centered up. And the way I did this, which, mind you guys, I've never done nothing like this, so like I'm just doing what I think is right. This is also a learning experience. So this is called a Plumb Bob. This is a ghetto version of a Plumb Bob, but you pretty much put this center in the output shaft, so this is in line directly with the engine, crankshaft, and all of that good stuff. And this pretty much just gives you a point to measure off of. So if you were to go in between these two frame rails, you want this thing sitting perfectly even. And I can't do it with two hands, but this thing's pretty even in there right now, which I'm pretty happy with. The only thing is this thing does gonna have to sit a little higher, like I said. But while we're down here, we can show you, this is pretty much the transmission cross member that I came up with. This is like a generic style trans mount, and the factory transmission mount were to bolt in these holes here and hug the bottom of this and sit like way low, and that would be like lower than these frame rails, and we can't have that. So this is pretty much what I came up with. I don't know if this will be a final design, but this is like what I came up with just to like work for this application. So my Plumb Bob is in the way, but pretty much see, this thing would bolt onto those factory holes and extend this thing outward and put this transmission mount pretty much right underneath this tail shaft, which is where we need it. So this way we can come in here with this cross member, and I should have just left this shit bolted up in there so you guys can see, but this cross member sit flush in the factory holes where the trans mount would be, coming back, and then the trans mount would mount into that thing. So that's pretty much what we came up with for transmission mount wise. Ooh. And here is this motor, starting to get all rusted out and shit from just sitting, but we don't really care about that, you know. So same thing up front, you want to take a Plumb Bob through like the center crankshaft bolt. Again, this way you can get measurements to get this thing sitting flush and even in between these frame rails, which right now it's pretty damn close. I mean, when it comes time to actually make the mounts, we'll get this thing in there like perfect. But you see what I came up with for an engine bracket. This is like a 350Z solid mount. This would work with a 350Z stock motor, but we're just using this to go off of, and these are like the brackets that I came up with. So this should be fairly simple to get this motor in there. You guys see the passenger side is offset a little bit, but pretty much the same concepts. So that should be fairly simple. And we got plenty of clearance here. Plenty of clearance between the oil pan and the cross member. That's why we have all this wood in here to space out and also help us keep this motor where it needs to be. But unfortunately, this driveway or the wood, whatever, this car doesn't sit perfectly level. It's about, I don't know if you guys can see it, it's about a degree to the left. So all of these measurements are going to have to be a degree to the left. You see this one? But this engine still needs to be jacked up. And then the biggest thing is going to be driveline angle. And you see this thing's sitting at like 4 degrees right now. So like I said, with that trans going up a little bit, that'll even us out to about like a 2 or 3 degrees down, which is ideal, I think, from like what I've read online and stuff like that. But can't believe everything online. So I mean, that's pretty much where we're at with this thing. Probably start ordering real materials. Probably get this engine in there first, straight, centered, this and that, and then adjust the transmission to get that thing in there. Once this thing is in here, then it's just a matter of making the clearance that we need. Back where the clutch throwout bearing line comes out is like pretty tight up against the transmission tunnel. And I did take a hammer to that already, but when I hit that in, I didn't realize that was like where the gas pedal was, so I was getting like clearance issues in there. So I ended up hammering that back out just for the time being. But this thing is using like a gas pedal that came with the standalone like run kit for this thing. So we'll end up using that, and we'll probably just try to like get that to work. And the same thing, this trans tunnel on top where the bell housing is, this thing has like a vent. I'll show you because I have another bell housing in my shed. But pretty much this piece right here where this vent is touching the top. So again, take the hammer back out, try to get some more room up there, or I'll just fucking cut this off and modify it. I don't really know yet, but I mean, you guys been asking for updates, so here's the latest and greatest. Not much, but we are out here making moves. A lot of you guys say, how am I going to change the spark plugs? And I think I got plenty of room to do that. And I don't know, with the brake booster in there, we'll figure that out. But same thing on this side. I think I'd have room to change them, but I mean, that's pretty much what we got.